Okay, wonderful. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Saida Sobaninia. I'm a postdoctoral research associate at Arizona State University. I worked on social cohesion and disaster recovery relationship in Puerto Rican communities for my PhD dissertation at Clemson University. And today I'm going to briefly explain that research about redefining social cohesion's role in building disaster resilient communities. My research area is particularly around resilience, disaster recovery, placemaking, and urban design and urban planning. So I'm trying to kind of connect these areas together in general. But let's dive into this research. The hurricane took apart my house, took up the walls, the roof, the ceiling, the city I was attached to, everything, said Alberto. Alberto is only one example of millions of people that are being impacted by a different disaster each year and being forced to relocate and kind of experience those psychological impacts of disasters, in addition to losing their families and friends. So, losing family, friends is one problem, but they also experience the impacts of disasters on their built environment, their social surroundings, their communities that they might not be in touch with anymore. And all of these, like built environment, factors, social factors, political factors, and economic factors impact how you experience a disaster. In the case of Puerto Rico in 2017, Hurricane Maria struck Puerto Rico. More than 3 million people were impacted and more than $94 billion in damage. Over 200,000 Puerto Ricans left their homes and 4% of the population didn't get back to their lands. If we talk about like dive into the literature of what I mean by social cohesion, what I mean by a disaster recovery, let's begin with this disaster recovery phases diagram. Here you see the recovery phases after a community experience a disaster. If a disaster happens here, we have different phases. The first phase of the disaster recovery is the emergency phase, when people try to help each other, like get out of the immediate impact of a disaster. They try to shelter each other. So that's the emergency phase. The second phase is restoration phase. When they try to have the basic needs up and running again, like cleaning the roads and like have all essentials, infrastructure up and running again. The third phase is basic reconstruction, when they start reconstruction of the houses and like the basic ones. And the fourth phase is major construction, when they start to like completely reconstruct and redevelop the city, even in a way that might even be better than before, like with changes. So all these phases don't take the same amount and period of time. With emergency phase takes shorter, and as we move forward, it takes longer in time. So if emergency phase takes like 7 days, for example, restoration might take a month, and basic reconstruction might take like a year, or major construction even years after. In terms of focuses on disaster recovery, mostly in the past literature, scholars focus on physical restorations, like having those physical aspects and the built environment, building back the built environment. As time passed by, they focused on infrastructure functionality, government policies, equity, social vulnerability. So they put a lot of other factors, and they noticed that a lot of other factors are important in disaster recovery as much as it's important to build back the built environment. And recently, in addition to all others, they're focusing on how they can use technology to help disaster recovery. When talking about social vulnerability, we're talking about those conditions within a society that environmental disaster might even exacerbate them. Like if there's poverty in a society, environmental disaster might exacerbate the impact of that economic situation in in the recovery process of people. Um, and as I said, a lot of factors are important in social vulnerability, like income factors are important. Colonial relationship in case of Puerto Rico has impacted the social vulnerability of the population and has made the recovery and coordination of aid problematic. So to overcome social vulnerability, which makes the impacts of disaster worse, we talk about resilience. Resilience is the capability of a system to learn from the past and become more capable of mitigating future shocks impacts. And community resilience in particular is the capacity of social groups and communities to coordinate effectively to recover from or respond positively to a crisis. One of the factors of community resilience is social cohesion. Social cohesion is the glue that bonds people to one another in families, groups, organizations, and communities. So, in reading the literature about the impacts of social cohesion and disaster recovery, I noticed that there are limited studies on the impact of social cohesion on disaster recovery. There need to be more studies to see what are the influential factors in disaster recovery in Puerto Rican communities, and limited research evaluated residents' opinion specifically after Hurricane Fiona compared to Hurricane Maria. So this research goal is to see if a disaster happens and we have like communities with a stronger social cohesion or weaker social cohesion. After a couple years, what are the impacts? Is a community with a stronger social cohesion in better shape in terms of disaster recovery, or does it have an impact or not? So the goal of this study was to redefine the role of social cohesion in post-disaster redevelopment programs in Puerto Rico, strengthen social resilience through social cohesion reinforcement, and discover ways to motivate and facilitate bringing back the lost population. The objective of the study was identifying the indicators of social cohesion after a disaster based on reviewing the literature, understanding the relationship between social cohesion and community rebounding after Hurricane Maria in Puerto Rico, and proposing a conceptual framework for improving social cohesion in Puerto Rico's recovery process. The overarching question was, what is the difference in the pace of recovery from environmental disasters between communities with a stronger social cohesion and those with weaker levels of social cohesion? To answer that question, I'm going to answer three sub-questions in this presentation. First, do places with a stronger social cohesion recover quicker? And the second question is, what factors make places with more substantial social cohesion recover quicker compared to places with weaker social cohesion? And how can we reinforce social cohesion post-disaster to make communities more resilient to future shock? So the theoretical framework of this study is that when a shock happens, pre-disaster status matters. That's what we're talking about, vulnerability, like the vulnerability of the population. And that is affected by demographic features, funding and accessibility to resources, geographic features, and social cohesion. And those impact recovery rates. And if a successful recovery rate happens, then communities can become resilient. This resiliency can impact pre-disaster status for future events and put a community in a better shape. So here you can see the social cohesion indicators and recovery rate indicators. up to this point is published in a paper that if you're interested to learn more about what factors and why these factors are important in social cohesion, I will introduce the study and you can go and deep dive in why these indicators are important in social cohesion. But the indicators that define social cohesion in terms of a disaster recovery are social capital, social participation, sense of communities, distribution of opportunities, and place attachment. And the recovery rate is more determined based on post-disaster population, functioning organizations, available resources, and redevelopments. So the case study, as I said, is Puerto Rico. Within Puerto Rico, I picked two municipalities, Añasco and Peñuelas. The independent variable was social cohesion, and dependent variable was community bonding. Some extraneous variables were controlled, such as ethnicity and race, income level, time of disaster, severity of disaster, funding, distance from the shore, big city, and redevelopment projects. So 4 communities were picked. 2 communities with similar distances from the shore and a big city, similar ethnicity, different median income level. 2 communities with similar distance from the shore, different ethnicity, similar median income level. So these are the process that I went through to pick the communities, and eventually I picked 4 communities to be representative of those areas, which are Corcovado, Sidra, Rosillo, and Santo Domingo. Let's go to the methodology section. This study adopted a sequential mixed method design. So after getting the framework and the theoretical framework, I created a questionnaire based on that framework and conducted a survey to determine the relationship between social cohesion and community bonding. After that, step 2 was after Hurricane Maria and before Hurricane Fiona that I interviewed people to identify the factors that help communities recover faster. And the third step was after Hurricane Fiona. And I asked, again, interviewed people to see how we can make communities more resilient, what worked, what didn't work, and what was improved. All of these will lead to a resilient disaster recovery conceptual framework for Puerto Rico. So let's see, the research around answering the question of what is the relationship between social cohesion and disaster recovery. As I said, I had a questionnaire and a survey conducted within the communities to answer this question. 132 questionnaires were received from the residents, and I used the quantitative analysis to analyze the results of the survey. Here you see how I analyzed the results. I coded the questions, created the scores for each factors, redefined the scores for each variables based on their importance and emphasis in the literature. I visualized the overall trend and estimated the overall relationship. Here you can see that the analysis, variance analysis showed that communities are significantly different in terms of their level of social cohesion, with community of Sidra having the lower level of social cohesion. Their recovery rate, however, was not significantly different. But again, you see like Sidra has a little less recovery rate. In terms of the relationship between social cohesion and disaster recovery, the variance analysis showed that the effect of social cohesion on community recovery is significantly different among the 4 communities. Here you can see this trend for all 4 communities, and using lack of fit showed that the better fit for this relationship is polynomial fit degree 2. And this is the combined relationship for all 4 communities, which shows that all 4 communities recovery rate increases as social cohesion increases at the lower level of social cohesion and recovery rate. But as social cohesion increases, the recovery rate doesn't change much. So that's really interesting to see, like, the immediate impact of social cohesion on disaster recovery, but not much later. As much as the social cohesion increases, recovery rate doesn't change much. So why is that? How we can have this graph going up? That's the question that we're going to answer now. What are the factors that facilitate community recovery? For answering that question, I interviewed residents, 40 in-person interviews with randomly selected residents and stakeholders in Puerto Rico, and I used qualitative inductive coding to code those answers. Here I'm going to read some of the quotes from the residents for you, which was after Hurricane Maria, before Hurricane Fiona. We had no food, electricity, nothing. At least we had each other. Another person said the community managers did everything from cleaning the debris from my yard to repairing my roof. They gathered everyone together to help us. Another person said, I love helping people and working for the communities. She was actually a community president. The previous generation did the same community service for my community members. Now it's my turn. I hope this also motivates the new generation to help others in the future. Another person said, we are ready. We are used to these environmental disruptions. We know they're coming, but the infrastructure is not ready. Another person said, we had no other choice but to help each other because the government gives money, but it does not reach us. So the next question was, what happened after Hurricane Fiona? I had another round of interviews after Hurricane Fiona because as I was analyzing my results, unfortunately, Hurricane Fiona happened. So I talked to people again and I interviewed 19 other in addition, like additional 19 people. And again, I analyzed qualitatively. Some of the quotes from after Hurricane Fiona were municipalities were way more efficient with helping communities in need. So micro-government reaction to help was way more efficient. The person said people were more organized in creating groups for helping out people. Another person said the government was more organized and faster in the distribution of the resources. The financial aid reached us faster. Another person said we understood that we need to organize ourselves better by creating a community association to empower ourselves. And another person said, after Maria, the resources were centered in San Juan, but after Fiona, they were distributed everywhere and community leaders were more responsible. So talking to people, these are the factors and indicators that were repeatedly mentioned by people that were important in their disaster recovery. With the bigger the size of these words, the more importance that the residents gave to those indicators. You can see like social networks, infrastructure, engagement in community activities, natural resources, local organizations. So how do we make communities more resilient? If you remember the recovery phases I taught initially, here we had different phases of disaster recovery. If we overlap that with the result of this study, let's see, like the social cohesion was more effective here at the beginning and the initial phases of recovery, but it was not that effective in the other phases of the recovery rate. So here we have social cohesion as like the most effective. And those internal social cohesion factors that were mentioned by residents were community engagement, social networks, human capitals, community leadership that would impact social cohesion to be strong to help communities to recover in the initial phases. But as I said, to see how we can have this trend to go up, external factors can help communities to continue to recover. Those external factors are citizen engagement in disaster preparation and mitigation planning, sustainable new developments, available resources, empowering and educating communities. So to wrap up, here is the framework of this study. To increase and to make communities more resilient, internal social cohesion factors are important. Those are, as I said, community engagement, like inclusion, social activities, human capitals, like what members of the community can offer when a disaster happens, like their skills, like some people have medical skills that they can contribute and so on, and their willingness to volunteer in emergency and non-emergency times. Social networks like friends and families, local leadership, like active leadership pre and post disaster, distribution of the funds, organizing the community volunteers in emergency times. And external factors can make communities more resilient as well. As we talked, these were social participation, like participating communities in the planning process and disaster preparation, empowering and educating communities, sustainable new developments, available resources in terms of economic resources like fund allocation and distribution of the fund, natural resources, sustainable infrastructure, resilient public places, and medical resources, which would make communities more resilient to disaster recoveries. Also, in terms of all of those, I have some strategies being developed that is being published, this part of the study. So to conclude, this study showed that there is a positive correlation between social cohesion and recovery rate in lower rates of recovery rate. The immediate effect of social cohesion is more extensive. Internal factors should improve within communities pre-disasters to see better outcome post-disasters. The external factors empower communities through external resources and increase their resilience to future shocks. Political vulnerability has a tremendous impact on responding to disasters. And a new funding mechanism arose, which showed that if the funding distribution were more bottom up instead of top down, would be more effective. But some questions arose after this study were like, how do communities with better or worse access? If that is so important, how do communities with better or worse access to resources respond to environmental disasters differently? And what is the role of community institutions? And also, like questions like, what is the current plans being responsive in terms of those framework indicators that we talked to? The contribution of the study showed the level of social cohesion, effectiveness, and community rebounding, emphasized the role of pre-disaster social cohesion, recognized the effects of endogenous and exogenous factors in disaster recovery, help communities to better respond to slow onset and rapid onset environmental changes, highlights the effectiveness of local organizations with bottom-up community actions, shows the better use of funding and the best way to disperse funding, and shows how we can empower communities pre-disaster to show better post-disaster outcomes. Some of the studies that were published and were used in this study are showed here, that like first part of the study, if you're interested to learn more about the relationship between social cohesion and disaster recovery, is published on Environmental Advances Journal. Also, the framework of the study and the recovery phases is published in International Journal of Disaster Risk Reduction. More concepts on urban resilience is published in Sustainable Cities and Societies. You can see the literature review around the social cohesion measures on Journal of Planning Literature, and also the more in-depth analysis of interviews in Environmental Hazard Journal. I wanted to acknowledge the help of my mentors, Dr. Stephen Bachman, and my other committee members who helped me throughout this research, and also Puerto Rican communities who were super nice, invited me over to their house, and were super hospitable and helpful. And thank you so much. And if you have any questions.